Hello and good morning. Today is August 27th. It's a Sunday. Susan and I are out for a ride today, and it's a beautiful day. Absolutely gorgeous weather. We've been very lucky here in southern Connecticut the last week or so. The weather, oops, that was a bump. The weather here feels like autumn. Cool breezes, no humidity whatsoever. Temps maybe in the 70s. Beautiful, beautiful weather. Susan and I have been out riding just about every day this week. Maybe one or two exceptions. Yesterday was one of them, an exception that is. Forced to do a little yard work, and while I was at it, did a little bike maintenance on both Susan and my bike. One of the things that I've talked about several times before in terms of bike maintenance is get your chain clean and don't forget to lube with the proper lubricant. And maybe it's just kind of a placebo effect, if you will. But the minute I got on the bike this morning and started pedaling out the driveway down the road, I mean, oh my gosh, I can really tell the difference in terms of how much smoother the drivetrain is. It's not to say that the chain was filthy or anything, but cleaning and lubricating the chain always makes a nice difference in your bike. Bring it back to that new bike feel. So this morning, Susan and I are kind of riding along different back roads and secondary roads along the shoreline here in Connecticut. Right now, we're on the way to a very small state park called Chapinch State Park. I'm pretty sure that I've had videos before where I've recorded taking a ride down this way. As you can see, it's popular. Other people are taking this exact same route. This is one of my very favorite places to let the bike just roll out. You roll down a nice hill going at a downhill curve. Let your speed run and run right back up another little hill. Always enjoy that little piece of road. That's why we ride, folks, for little thrills like that. Well, Susan and I are continuing our ride this morning, and we're heading over to Mulberry Point, another nice shoreline section of town. I wanted to mention this morning a little bit about a habit that I have that I want to pass along as a tip to you guys, you bike riders out there. What I like to do every so often is kind of review some of the basics of what I've learned and have come to benefit me to becoming a better guy on a bike, better rider on a bike. So what I'm getting at is every so often I like to go over some of my basics of riding position, where I'm sitting on a saddle. I know it sounds like a real mindless topic, but it is important to be consistent on the bike. And one of the major things you need to be consistent about is your riding position. Once that riding position has been established, hopefully through a bike fit, you want to make sure that you stay in that position as you are riding. For a short time, I was using Trainer Road and taking some of their structured training programs. And one of the things that they emphasized all the time during the workout was to make sure that you plant your sit bones. Get your sit bones back where they belong, reinforcing the position that you should be on the bike. That's one of those things that I do all the time now. And the way I do it is I come to a little break in my pedaling. Maybe I'll slide downhill like this right here, and I will put my left foot down, the bottom of the pedal stroke, lift my butt up just a little bit, and put my sit bones right back where they belong. I remind myself to do that almost all the time. And by doing that, I make sure that my pedal stroke is as efficient and as powerful as possible, because it doesn't take much to get yourself out of position sometime and kind of go out of control, if you will, or go out of the basic zone of how you should be riding your bike, and become a sloppy, or for sure a less efficient rider on the bike. Morning. The second thing that I do in terms of basics is that I try to remember some guidelines for shifting. May sound kind of, again, mindless. Once you learned it, you learned it. But not necessarily. You can get lazy and you can start doing things that are going to reinforce bad habits. As an example, I ride Shimano style shifters and drivetrain, and as a result, well, not as a result, but because it is Shimano, you're supposed to be guarded against cross chaining, which is to say, don't put the chain on the large chain ring and also at the same time have it on the biggest cog on the back. And conversely, don't have your chain positioned on the small chain ring and the smallest cog in the back. Other than that, my guideline is pretty much select the gear where I'm pedaling between 70 and 100 RPM at whatever effort that I perceive as comfortable for myself at the time. I also stay in the small chain ring if I'm on the flats, and certainly if I'm climbing. The only time I think about going to large chain ring is if I'm pushing 18 or 20 miles an hour on the road. Then I would consider going into the bigger chain ring. Other than that, those are guidelines I use for my riding. So 70 to 100 RPM. Select the gear where I'm comfortable in my perceived effort. Stay away from the big chain ring unless I'm really moving along the street. And that's it. So that's what I kind of pass along as tips for you guys this morning.